All right, you're back on the program. This is Upstairs in My Home. This is actually often where I do the Strombo show, the radio show, where many a nights I have spun a song from his current project or his previous project. It's so good to see you here, man.
You too, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. How are things?
Good.
Yeah?
Great.
Yeah?
I was a little under the weather, and thank you for rescheduling for me.
You weren't under the weather. You were knocked out. Man.
Yeah. One of those weird spring, winter / flus. I don't know what it was.
I mean, there's got to be a huge emotional toll, especially for a guy like you when you're about to when you just put a record out and you're going to let everybody see, and you've said that this is your most vulnerable, so you now know that everybody knows how you feel.
Yeah.
That's got to take its toll too.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, sometimes I don't, I forget how open I am when I write songs until I have conversations with people after the show or something, or I run into someone on the street and they start telling me about like something they've been through that a song of mine helped them with, and then I start realizing, oh wow, I forgot that that's what I was singing about, and that's sort of the direction it can go as far as relating to the music.
It's different for you too, because I mean, you've done the City and Colour thing for a minute, but there was always the Alexis on Fire thing in the background, and now this is this, and that is over, and this is where you're at. And you've done the finale, there's the box set, like all the things that one would do in that band, that's over.
Yeah.
And now you're, oh, this is my thing.
This is my band.
Is that different?
A lot of people I know, when it happened, everybody thought or assumed that it was just like the obvious thing that I was going to leave and because I wanted to be the solo guy, but that's really not what it was. And like, you knew us from the beginning. Yeah. We were a band, and
you liked each other.
We love each other. They're the reason why I am sitting here having this conversation with you, talking about City and Colour, because without them, it would never have come to be. But to think now, to look back and see that I just started this as this little side project thing, and it blossomed into this full-time, I'm going to leave my band project. It's very weird.
Is it different? I know the answer is yes, because it ought to be yes in a lot of areas, but in parts of it, it might be no. Just the idea of doing this as a man versus doing this as a boy.
Yeah.
And how you position and present yourself and the choices you make.
Well, it's completely different. Because, you know, when I first started singing, and even musically, like the whole singing as a boy and singing as a man now, it's completely different. And I can't, like I tell them, I don't play guitar that way anymore. I've evolved. I've evolved as a singer. I've evolved as a person. And even though maybe I'll sing these words that I wrote as a boy, I'm approaching them now from a different perspective, you know? But I'm glad that most of them I can still sort of transform them into a different perspective. But certain songs I don't do anymore just because I don't relate to them anymore. You know, I don't relate to the way I was feeling when I wrote it, or, you know, what I was thinking about. It just doesn't, kind of, I guess I fell out of love with certain songs. And that breaks a lot of people's hearts. But I think most people who know me and who are a fan of me are willing to evolve with me, which is, I'm very thankful for.
So much talk about that, the Optimist song, right? The one about your dad. And then you had this line where you had said that you took after your mother. So at what point did you realize when you were a kid that there was a difference between the way they saw the world?
Well, I think from a very young age, you know, because as you start, especially because I've to not sound too romantic about it, but I feel like I've always been in touch with my emotions, which is probably why I sang, you know, really heavy songs when I was 14, 15 years old. Or maybe that's why I've always related to that style of music. So I was looking at myself internally at a very young age and trying to figure out why I was the way I was. And I was, you know, observing my mother and my father, who I thankfully grew up with. They're still married 42 years later.
And are they friends?
They are friends, but they hate each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's a 40-year marriage.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
It's like, you know, I love my family, but I hate their guts at the same time. You know?
Do they like how you view them?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think because they both are comfortable with the people they are. Yeah. And I think that they're proud of the way they're proud of the way they raised me and the person I've become. You know, I'm sure my mom would like me to be a little happier, and so would my father, you know.
And so would you, probably.
So would I, but if I was, I wouldn't be the person I am now. You know, I wouldn't be the songwriter that I am. I wouldn't be the person that people seem to relate to at this point.
Is that worth it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're as an artist.
In quotes.
Yeah, because it's such a stupid word, you know. Because I'm a singer. I'm a singer of songs. But the idea of being satisfied doesn't come into play, because then that means you don't have anything else to search for. And that's sort of the way I've always approached writing, is that, you know, people say, what's your favorite song? And I'll say the next one I'm about to write. Because that should be the goal, is to always be evolving and doing better.
Is that why you didn't go to the Junos?
Well, the Junos thing didn't make any sense for me, because they asked me to play, and I said, sure. But then the nominations came out, and I didn't have any, and I thought, well, here's a chance for me to stand up for myself and maybe tell them that the way they're doing things is a little bit incorrect.
Meaning they should only have performers who are nominated.
It's an award show. It's a show about music awards. It's celebrating the year in Canadian music that, you know, that this committee has decided on. Basically what you're saying is, you want me to play on your show because I'm popular, but the people who voted for the records didn't think so.
Right.
So in my mind, I thought, well, give my spot to somebody who's nominated. Give my spot to somebody who you think, or your committee thinks, deserves it. And I feel like that's just not the way, like going back to my parents, like that's just not the way I was raised. My dad would have been like, what are you doing? You know? You're not nominated, don't go.
Yeah. Want to play a song?
I do.
When we come back, Dallas Green, Downstairs. That was great, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.